Oh God. Okay, that's behind us.
That is behind us indeed.
Mum, please do not disown me. I swear to God, I'm not normally like this.
And with that, we are brought into this very special, very spooky Halloween episode of the Weebcast, or the Halloweebcast, as I am going to call it on the channel, because I am a horrible person who loves puns. Welcome! This is the weekly Weebcast. I am your host, Jeffrey Through Professional Shitbag, joined as usual by Nate, the best guy ever, who is my co-host.
I've become the most regular guy on these. I'm the only one who's been in every single Weebcast, so go on over to patreon.com/bestguyever and express your approval.
and give some approval to his brother, patreon.com/bensaint.
Yeah.
That is his legal name, patreon.com/bensaint.
Yep, the paperwork just went through.
And today, for this spooky episode, we are joined by... I was trying to come up with spooky puns like you'd see on the Goosebumps, or whatever, but...
a very hairy adventure.
We are joined by Gigak.
Hey, I don't have a spooky name. Like, everyone on Twitter has changed their name to some kind of spooky name, and I'm just like, fuck it, whatever. I'm just Gigak from the Anime Zone. I talk about anime too, like the rest of these guys, and that's pretty much it.
Well, there's nothing more horrific than being a cuck, so what about gig cuck? That's... that works.
Oh Gig cuck. Okay. Top tier. And that cackle that you just heard came from Digibro.
Hey, what's up, buddy? Most of the way into beer number 2. Ready to get some scary shit going and flowing. Know what I'm saying?
I hear that, fam.
Nah, you're saying? I don't know how to follow up nah, I'm saying, actually. I've got some cider here. I think I might actually crack that open.
I think the correct response is to take a slow drag off your blunt and then go, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
God.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Summersby Cider. Today's Weebcast is sponsored by Summersby Cider. No. Today's Weebcast is sponsored by Crunchyroll.com/basement. Go there, watch anime, give me money.
Or you could go to Crunchyroll.com/digibro.
Or you could go to Crunchyroll.com/theAnimeZone. Is this a thing now?
We're getting
Crunchyroll. No, yeah. No, we're all right.
Crunchyroll, keep sucking your dick, please. We love it.
You watch all the anime that we recommend in this podcast, and whoever's recommendation, you know what? That's gonna backfire because Jeff has the best recommendation. We already pre-decided our recs, and I can't pick my favorite because he's gonna have my favorite too. God damn it.
All right. Whoever's spooky Halloween name you like more, go to their Patreon. By the way, mine, until I changed it because reasons, was Mothra's Basement, which I think is pretty strong.
That is strong.
Not bad.
Was he in the new Godzilla or something?
No, it's just it made sense as a pun.
Okay.
And of course, Gig Cuck. Gig Cuck is pretty top tier.
Yeah.
I love that.
Booest guy ever?
No.
Sure, fine, whatever. Let's kill myself right now.
Yeah.
Bloodbath. Hey.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, there we go.
All
Okay,
right.
so whoever's spooky name you like most,
Bloodbath.
go to there.
What about...
Every time you hear it in your head, if you listen to the band Bloodbath, I want you to auto-complete it with one of their riffs. Just like go straight into that. And that'll really, you'll understand.
Okay. That'll make it spookier for sure.
Yes. They're a spooky band.
Okay, and this is a spooky podcast. So let's get right into the scariness. We're doing basically a roundtable discussion today where each of us is recommending a horror anime and then we talk about it with each other if we've seen it or not. And yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy our recommendations. Digi, why don't you go first?
Okay, I am recommending a little 3-episode OVA that came out in 2004 called Les Portraits de Petite Cosette, or The Portrait of Little Cosette in English. but it's a French name. This is a OVA directed by Akiyuki Shinbo. You probably know him as the guy who directs all the Shaft shows, and he's got this very distinctive visual style. Petite Cosette is one of the most Shinbo shows there is. He storyboarded it himself, directed it. It's way over the top with visual flair. But I think that it's also one of the only times that Shinbo made something that that really couldn't have existed without his style. It's something that really lives and dies on the Shinbo-ness of it. And so if you like his style, you should definitely give it a watch. And if you don't like his style, watch it anyway. It's still cool. Have any of you guys seen it?
Nope.
I've seen part of it, but it was way back when I was a
babu,
terrible little child. Yeah, a babu.
Gigik, have you seen it?
Back when I
Gigik?
Gigik?
Sorry. I have not seen it.
I see. Well, then I guess I'll just tell you all about it myself. So
yeah, tell us all about it, Digi.
Yeah, it's a gothic.
Sell us on this show.
It's a gothic romance. That's the entire premise of the show is that they basically went at it with the theme of Gothic Lolita. So everything about it is about conveying the atmosphere of Gothic Lolita. So the plot is kind of like the book Lolita, but fused with a Gothic romance. And the imagery is like it's about this goth lolly girl who was like from the 18th century or something like that, and she was killed by this guy who was like obsessively in love with her, and her soul has been trapped inside of all these objects that she had that are now like being sold as antiques, but anyone who buys them ends up basically dying. And the main character guy like has one of the objects, and in it he keeps seeing her, and like he becomes obsessed with her because of these objects. And so it turns out that she's, for whatever reason, seems to think that he has the soul of the guy who killed her inside of him. And she wants him to help her to find all the objects and sort of quell their spirits, their rambunctious spirits, and let her finally move on. It gets a little bit deeper as it goes, but it's 3 quick episodes, and a lot of it is just fucking trippy, weird shit that you'll see. It uses a lot of CGI in a way that how... This is kind of funny because I'm writing a post that involves this show, so I'm kind of explaining a lot of what I do in that. But I really think that, CGI usually looks unnerving and weird in anime. Like, it's weird to see CG and 2D sort of combined. This OVA kind of takes advantage of that by using the 3D CG in moments where it's meant to look creepy and weird, and just builds these environments where it'll be like, the main character's, I don't know, would you call it a dreamscape or an alternate reality or something, but it'll be like the main character's fucking crucified on a cross in an ocean of blood, and there's giant skulls pouring blood out of their eyeballs and shit, and like Cosette, who's like this
sounds like
fucking
a metaphor.
Like naked lolly in just a cape, like fucking making it like drawing her finger across the air and causing blood to explode out of him. There's lots of blood. This whole thing is just blood everywhere, which I love personally. And I first saw it actually.
You are Digi Bloodbath.
Yes,
true. That's true.
I'm way into to blood as an aesthetic, and I actually first saw Petite Cosette on Halloween. It was like I think it was on Halloween. It was on some kind of special on TV, on like Tech TV or something like that, or G4 back in the day.
Oh yeah, one of those guys.
Yeah, because it's available on DVD it was from Geneon. I don't know if it still is because Geneon's been dead for like almost a decade, but yeah, it's been out there. It's been on TV before. I saw it on Halloween one time. So there's a chance that some of our listeners will like look this up and be like, "Oh my god, I remember this weird ass shit that I saw 10 years ago and I had no idea what it was." And now you know. It's an old Shinbo OVA.
Right.
I saw it recommended. Yeah, I saw it recommended on anime DVDs like all the time. The old Geneon releases.
Yeah, where they had previews for every other show that they have.
Yeah. You know, I'm pretty sure that I first saw it recommended on my DVDs of Girls Bravo, which is the least appropriate connection possible.
I think there was some shared staff between, like, someone who worked on one worked on the other, because I remember seeing Girls Bravo in the research I was doing for this video. But in any case, Petite Cosette has one of the first soundtracks, well, not one of the first, but an early soundtrack from Yuki Kajiura, who you probably know for, God, I mean, Madoka Magica is the obvious connection, since that's another Shinbo show that she also did the soundtrack for. Fate Zero, I don't think she did Stay Night. Yeah, just Fate Zero.
No,
and
Fate Zero.
Sword Art Online, Dot Hack, which is one of my favorite soundtracks. She's great. I love Yuki Kajiura, and one of my favorite Kara no Kyokai. One of my favorite Kajiura soundtracks is the Petite Cosette one. I would say it's the first one that is like in the style that she's totally known for now. Like, it used to be that she did a little bit more like fantasy kind of sounding songs, or a little bit more electronic music. This was the first one with like the violins and the arpeggios and everything, and just creating this super gothic atmosphere that she like totally leans on now. So yeah, if you like that style, definitely give this show a watch, give the soundtrack a listen. Launched the career of Marina Inoue, voice actress who sings on it and plays Cosette. Trying to think of every single thing I know that I could say about
You're
this.
You're going hard on this one. Yeah.
It's a cool, creepy little OVA. I mean, I can't say too much about the plot because it's very short. You know, this is just something you'll knock out in one sitting.
What'd you say it was 2 episodes?
3, and
3, okay.
Most of it is just like trippy aesthetic images. Like, the main reason to watch this is that it's a fucking trip. There's lots of just cool looking stuff. I once described this as just 20 backgrounds per minute. Like, every single image, especially when you get to like episode 3, every image in the show would make a good desktop background. The only reason that I wouldn't use them as desktop backgrounds is that this show's from 2004. It's not in HD, so, you know, it would look stretched on a modern monitor. But nonetheless, every background image is just like, oh yeah, that is fucking rad. And I'd say that's the basic experience of this OVA. It's not gonna like reach you on a particularly deep level. There are some people who choose to read it as like a scathing critique of like lolicon culture and stuff, that like the main character's kind of obsessed with this image of this young girl, and part of the message is about her not being what the person obsessed with her thought she was. Like, he kind of dehumanized her and saw her as this idol. And so some people choose to read it as like an admonition of the way that people, you know, obsess over these lolly characters. Though I personally think
that's interesting.
Personally, I don't think it's really intended to be a message about like anime obsession per se. I think this is a thing that happens in reality. People become obsessed with their ideals of a woman, you know, that classic putting the pussy on a pedestal thing that we've all known.
Yeah.
But like, so I think it's just commenting on that, because the idea of Shinbo of all people being critical of lolicon would just be completely unacceptable to me, considering that at the same, like, right after he did Petite Cosette, he then immediately made Tsukuyomi Moon Phase, which is about a lolly vampire.
My favorite show. Did I ever tell you about the story about that I had when I was watching that show? So in college, an anime club, we all got around and were watching the show at our president's insistence that we all watch it together. And so one day we just blasted through like the whole show, and there's this one scene, I think in like episode 1 or 2, where like the girl walks out and she's like naked or something, and she walks out all sexily, and she just runs up to the main character guy, and she starts like stroking his chest and is like, "Oh, Nichan, daisuki," and he's just like, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I'm a lolicon. Just announced it to the
president
room.
of the club said
The
that?
president of the club just let everyone know.
Oh my
God, he was such a badass, my hero.
That is, he's my hero as well. That's like a Madarame
He's the
moment.
man.
He's not ashamed, man. He's not ashamed.
He's the man that you aspire to be to this day.
That's
basically.
right.
That's right.
He's what happens when we go further beyond. That's the next level.
No, he is a true wizard.
Not only
a grand
had he
wizard of
accepted
anime.
that he was a lolicon, but he wanted everyone else to be one too. He wanted to share his vision. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing.
I can relate to that.
I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I mean, Tsukuyomi is definitely a good recruiting tool for that.
Yeah.
It is surprising. You know, I remember, because I had seen, I'd seen a bunch of this show back in the day because Tsukuyomi, which by the way is also kind of Halloween themed because it's about vampires and shit.
Yeah.
I had seen parts of it on like Funimation Network back in the day, and I've been a longtime Shinbo fan, so I'd given the show a watch. And I remember when I was younger, I was just like, this little girl's kind of a bitch. I hate her, right? I didn't watch that far, but now I'm watching it, and I just think she's the most fucking adorable character ever. Just
dude, remember that scene?
Character design.
I don't know what episode it was, but this one scene stuck with me from that show even to this day, which is how it was like the first like real character connection moment between the main character and the girl, where like, because he's a photographer, he does this like amazing photography technique to keep the shutter open for like 20 for like hours, while the girl who has this ability to stand perfectly still while the stars swirl around her, and it gets this like godlike photo that no human could have possibly taken. It was awesome. I still remember that. It's the most badass thing ever. So
I haven't
good
gotten
show.
to that episode yet. I'm currently watching it, by the way. That's why I'm talking about it.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, cool. But yeah, Portrait de Petite Cosette seems like an interesting show. I definitely want to check it out. And the fact that it's 3 episodes long makes it a great watch for your Halloween night last minute
just
party plan.
Bang something out real quick.
Yeah, if you need to bang something out real quick, nothing better for that than a lolly.
Of course.
Speaking of banging something out real quick, would you mind if I brought up my next?
It's a good segue is the best way to do it. Wait, sorry, I mean
segue
segue.
That
That's
you have now completely
right?
ruined. So,
okay, so my suggestion for this Halloween is it is a 2001. It originally came out OVA, based on a game/visual novel. And it's called La Noche de Walpurgis, Bible Black. I'm recommending Bible Black because I'm recommending.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Do you get my
yes,
banging
the
out
classic.
now?
Okay.
Yeah, the classic.
Okay, good. So
the all-time classic.
It's one of my favorite anime, hands down. So this is a spooky witchcraft theme porn game. In case that wasn't clear, it's a hentai. It's a hentai, but it's to this day it has my favorite plot of any hentai. So if you're looking to have one of those sex-yes Halloweens, as everyone is, as we know, that's the goal of Halloween these days for adults.
I mean, if you're not going out to party to like slam some chick in a slutty costume, then stay home and slam some fucking goddamn Bible Black.
That's exactly right.
That's how we do it in Otaku Land.
Put your wrist in a slutty costume and bang it out.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't know who. I want to recommend both the dub and the sub for the show. You can find them both on like YouPorn or any of that shit.
Yeah.
This
Google
dub is God tier.
It's one of those, yeah.
I mean, you watch a sub and it's God tier, and then you watch the dub, and then it becomes like a comedy classic. You know, it's right up there.
Yeah. That's right
up there
bitch.
with the best.
I'm gonna fuck you with my hot pecker. To this day, is one of my favorite lines in any dub.